Thank you very much to Ger, to Liam and to Peter. May I thank you and the Offaly Person of the Year Selection Committee for this honour. Noel McCann said that I had been allocated 3 minutes on the basis that I might then speak for 10. I wouldn't really take that from someone who was an officer of Offaly County Board of the GAA, where brevity was never a strong point. I do want to thank those who nominated me. It is a pleasure to share this evening with Tony Bergen, one of nation's gentlemen and a most deserving recipient of the Unsung Heroes Award. He's not an unsung hero, he is a singer, he is sung, and his praises deserve to be sung. And listening to him, I was reminded of an incident at the opening of the National Concert Hall where Gerard Victory, I think it was, had composed a special composition in honour of the occasion. And an NUJ member, entertained well if not wisely, got carried away as the final notes were played, and he stood up and he said, "Now be Jesus, follow that Beethoven." And I feel a bit like that after Tony. To be selected from such an illustrious list of luminaries is humbling, and I actually know many of the nominees. One of them, Michael Dignan, I even offered career guidance to as a young student when he contemplated a career in journalism. I told him it was probably more money in property. That was a mistake. I'd also predict he might even be future president of the GAA. But I do want to say that all of the people nominated would be deserving of recognition. I want in particular to send good wishes to Ken Smollen, who has been battling cancer with characteristic resilience, and he's at our thoughts tonight. Tonight, above all else, is a celebration of friendship, and friendship is the cornerstone of the Offaly Association, and it is a joy to be among so many friends from so many strands of my life. Thank you for taking the time to attend. I have been overwhelmed by the many kind messages of goodwill, not just from across the Midlands, but even from Aintree, from the Aintree branch of the Offaly Association in temporary exile in Aintree. I must confess that I had to look twice when I got a message from Willie in the Padre, and to my shame I didn't recognise that Willie who kindly sent the message with the parish priest of Verban, was one of the leading figures in international racing. So there you go. Joining the list is a privilege. This is the only time I can guarantee that I'll be put in the same bracket as Matt Connor, Pauline Hurley, Pat Smollen and Shane Lowry. Shane may be from Clara, but we Verban people know that the passion and the real core of his heart comes from roots in Verban. Brendy and Michael and the Lowrys were our next door neighbours, and I went to school with both, and we were enormously proud of the connection with the Lowrys. The Roll of Honour features many public figures and notable personalities who I have known and admired, and they have been acknowledged tonight. It's worth noting that I first met Brian Cowan on a bus to Dublin on the 24th in 1973. We were schoolboys, and our fathers had agreed that we could travel to see Deb leaving the park on the inauguration of Erskine and Childers. And all my abiding memories of this young lad at the front singing ballads all the way home. Michael Byrne is someone whose friendship and I have valued as much as his profound scholarship. But it was also great to meet the other winners tonight and to celebrate this honour, which I do not take for granted. It did strike me in looking at the list that it really is. It represents the spirit of Offaly in all its rich tapestry. My father was delighted to receive the Offaly Person of the Year Award in 1990, and it is emotional to accept this honour, and also I'm wearing a tie belonging to him, wearing the Offaly crest. It may well have been the tie that he wore that night, because my filing system when it comes to my ties is not great. He was born in 1916, and he was the epitome of public service. He was elected to the county council. He cycled to meetings in Tullamore with his next door neighbour, Barney Corcoran, the Labour councillor, and he served and cycled throughout the Verban electoral area. He was forced to use annual leave for more than one to attend council meetings, and despite difficult personal circumstances, operated what was effectively a 24-hour service as a public representative. He was passionately committed to his party, but blind to political difference in serving his community. I note that he was reference made to the fact that he first wore the chain. The reason for that was that the wonderful predecessor, Donald Dunn, once famously declared that the only place for a chain is an ass, and refused to accept the offer of a chain office. This is a marvellous occasion of joy for my family, and I do owe them a debt of gratitude. The close bond between all of us, and you can see the army over there on the left, was forged, as has been referenced, as an angle of grief. Barbara and I were reared by Eddie Joe, with the support of assorted sisters and Eoghan sometimes, and it's great to be united here this evening. My sister Mary cannot be here, but she's very much in our thoughts. She lives in Manchester. Tonight is also tinged with sadness, and it would be wrong not to acknowledge that, because so many people during COVID have walked in that valley of darkness. The words of the Bard of Haran, John Doyle, spring to mind. There are 3 or 4 will see no more. And you will pardon me if I recall the loss of Emma, my nephew's wonderful wife, my courageous niece Eoghan Hooks, my inspiring nephew Damien, my beloved sister Teresa, and of course Brian, my partner, all taking before their time. So it is a bittersweet occasion, not least for Brian's sister Pauline and for Kevin, but I'm delighted that among all of the Biffos there are 2 blue doves here to fly the flag for Ballyfermot and for Brian's family. So I want to welcome Pauline and Kevin. In accepting this award, I would like to think that it's partly an award for local journalism, a recognition of the way the local press can strengthen and affirm communities. If I learned anything from Jeff Oakley, Eddie Rogers, David Pate, Bud Burke and Jimmy Fanning, it was that news like history should never just be the preserve of the captains and the kings, but should be the stories of all the people. John O'Callaghan, Vivian Clark, Eddie Cunningham, Jodie Corcoran, Brian Jaffrey and I learned from some truly great mentors. When I joined the Tullamore Tribune, I inherited Dave Pate's job, his flat and his membership of Junior Chamber. David, it has been mentioned, died recently in Canada, and it is fitting that we remember him tonight and acknowledge his contribution, along with Jeff Oakley and Mary Bratlin, to the development of the Tullamore Tribune. It's great to see the Tribune people here today at the table, and to see in particular Phyllis, who actually worked in the Tribune when I began my anchor course. I know Phyllis doesn't seem that way. When I began my anchor course, began all those years. The only surprise when I picked up the Tribune today was there was no advertising feature on this event, and I thought, Jesus, Malcolm Denmark should really hire Phyllis again. In Junior Chamber, I made many great friends. I travelled all over the world and helped cross-border relations by drinking Black Bush and parading through the streets of Carrickfergus with Declan Curran in Michelin men's outfits. It's great to see so many Junior Chamber friends from across the country here tonight. As a journalist, I was privileged to witness many disasters and triumphs, sporting and otherwise, rows, ructions and human dramas, reporting on significant events including the burning of Tullamore Church, the decline of the traditional industries including the Williams Group, Midland Butter and Bacon, Tullamore Yarns, and then the first tentative steps in the development of Offaly tourism, and the emergence of Offaly as a force in the National Ploughing Championship, so much associated with this place and with people like Paul Donegan and Sean Healy. And of course that was the 80s, the golden era of the Bridge House, memorably described by Declan Lynch as a Babylon in the bog. The Christie couldn't make up his mind whether that was an insult or praise, but decided he'd frame it anyway. I also narrowly on one occasion missed being hit by a flying saucer in the council chamber. willow pattern saucer thrown by Councillor Jim Flanagan, badly aimed at Pat Gorman, who Tom Peary ducked and it hit me. And it was an interesting incident because the chair, as chair, had a function to restore order, while as a father had some welfare concerns for his son. My belief in public service was shaped by Eddie Joe Dooley and by St. Lawrence School in Prabhan with some wonderful teachers. In the NUJ and in my career, I have been lucky enough to take the road less travelled, and I have had many adventures along the way with the most wonderful friends and the most wonderful travel companions, many of them whom are here tonight. The NUJ has provided me with a platform for advocating for change and hopefully to serve, inspired by my belief that all of us deserve both bread and roses. Whether it's standing up for equality in Oman, where I could have been jailed and probably should have been for speaking up for human rights, campaigning for marriage equality, representing workers on dodgy contracts, defending journalism in the Ukraine and Gaza, or seeking to protect the values of public service broadcasting in the face of greed, incompetence and arrogance in Donnybrook, my approach has always been rooted in the belief that we are called to be, in Seamus Dooley's great phrase, ambassadors of conscience. Journalism is worth defending. In a world of misinformation and conspiracy theories, we need to promote public interest journalism, and you all can play your part. It's very simple. Get out in the morning and buy a newspaper and pay your licence fee. Here in the Midlands, you have some really dedicated local journalists. They're here tonight. Don't just talk about them, support them and put your money where your mouth is. Because if we rely on X and if we rely on citizen journalists, so-called, we will live in a world of misinformation. This hall brings back so many memories. So memories of so many events, of so many people. It's almost like the Moore song, I feel like one treading the ballroom, except I tread this in great company. But just one memory struck me tonight when I walked in. I was brought back to the third Monday of September 1982 when I was put in my place. Offaly had won the All-Ireland football final, and after a triumphant homecoming, the All-Ireland champions were feted in the Bridge House. I still have the menu card. Who could forget the honeydew melon, always honeydew melon, Gaelic steaks and baked Alaska. The media were graciously allocated a place of honour, and as was the custom, the local press representatives were asked by the County Bureau, who happened to be Noel McCann, to keep an eye on the VIPs, who, because Offaly was on show and we wanted to show off to the media skeptics, one of whom was this fella, Eoghan Corry, who had dismissed our chance of halting Kerry's 5-in-a-row gala. Here I must confess that actually I missed the Derby goal because I was on my way to the losers' dressing room and ended up interviewing Derby about a goal that I hadn't seen. The waitress on the night was Mary, who she served the table and she was from Prabhan. And as she served a silver platter, heavily laden with steaks, smothered in classic Bridge House Gaelic sauce, she was overcome with emotion as she recounted the Seamus Darby goal. It was great to have a cousin of Seamus Darby's here tonight as well. Her obvious excitement delighted the assembled journalists, but the moment of magic slowly and dramatically turned to horror as the steak slid from the silver tray onto my lap. As I struggled to retain my dignity, a look of relief came over Mary's face. Everyone else panicked. Mary from Prabhan looked at me and she said, "Jesus, Seamus, wasn't I lucky it was no one important?" You see, Prabhan, people keep you in your place and you keep you rooted. And this is my place. Although, as has been referenced, I enjoy dual citizenship among marvellous friends and neighbours in Dublin 8, I remain enormously proud of Offaly, as you should be, because there is much to be proud of. And all I can say is that I am grateful to each of you for celebrating this award with me. Your friendship, your presence, and your ongoing commitment to Offaly through all of your associations is something which I deeply value and which I am eternally grateful. Enjoy the rest of the night. And sorry, Noel, if that took a little bit longer, 3 minutes, but I learned from the best, I learned from yourself.
Seamus, as you can see, we're very conservative in our work.